go into that particular topic, could you talk a little bit about the significance of Turkey, and what do you think, in light of the prophecies, how will Turkey's involvement happen here?
Well, the key sign of the disintegration of Turkey will be the end of Erdogan, according to the prophecies, and the new leadership will be inclined toward the West, and they will do the bidding of the West. And the key thing that will happen was they will close the straits and not allow the Russian military to pass to go to the Middle East, where a lot of their interests will be at stake. And that will happen during a short war between Turkey and Greece, because that's a prerequisite for the straits to be shut. There must be a warfare state going on. Otherwise, they're not justified by international law. So the prophecies are that Turkey will strike Greece over the disputed 6 miles between the two countries. And they have long had this dispute, well-known dispute going back decades and decades. And they will get the nod for this because ultimately it will be in the best interest of NATO to shut the straits and keep Russia out from the Middle East. And so this is all very much, whereas 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it would be hard to see these things as possibly materializing, even though the prophecies go back many, many decades. St. Pius was proposed 30 years ago, and he was saying these things. Now you can see them literally in front of us. Erdogan's party has largely lost power in the last elections. He has said he's going to step down, and now we're on the verge of possibly the attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, which is also said as a sign to provoke the larger war. So Turkey's, according to the prophecies, at the center of all the development going forward.
Well, I think that's important because it's not even on anyone's radar yet. Most people are focusing on Russia, Ukraine, what's happening with NATO, the Middle East as well, Israel, and the horrors happening in Gaza. And so, you know, the other players, I guess, that are going to be involved certainly aren't on anyone's radar. Father Peter, what have the prophecies said about the Israel region?
Well, it says that there will be. There's actually a prophecy that says that they will level Palestine, which I think one could say is happening right now with Gaza, and the tomb will be the Dead Sea. What exactly that means is hard to see. Many times we have to realize that prophecies are interpreted as they're happening. It's difficult to interpret the prophecies beforehand. There's a lot of speculation, but as events come and signs are given. And there are signs always given, and they're always given again for our repentance. But the signs come, people are hardened in their sin. They don't want to listen. They don't believe. They don't have fear of God, and they continue on. So the sign for Israel will be that it will be the epicenter of much of this war. Russia will, according to the prophecies, be victorious. They will defeat Turkey with massive losses to Turkey, and they will continue all the way down to the boundaries of Israel, and that will be the end of the first stage of the war. The second 6 months will be a stalemate, and the Western powers telling Russia to retreat and go back, and Russia refusing, and then that will be the beginning of the massive war, which hundreds of millions of people are expected, according to the prophecies, to perish. It is also prophesied by a great elder in America, Elder Ephraim, who just proposed on the eve of the COVID insanity. He had many things to say. He said that within a few years after my repose, the great events that have been prophesied will come about, that the United States, among other countries, will pay the price of many, many years of sin that will come back they will pay the price for many years of sin. And as we said earlier, there's many prophecies about America. One of the things that was said by Saint Basil of Elder Basil of Capso Calive, who proposed just about 15 years ago, America will be broken into pieces, according to his prophecy. And another saint, a Russian saint, almost 100 years ago said, America, which fed the entire world, will come unto starvation. And that was said almost over 100 years ago. In interpreting some of these prophecies, the great contemporary interpreter of these, Metropolitan Neophytos of Morpho, who I think the video you're going to play is showing him talking in a recent interview with a Russian news agency. He interprets this happening during the great conflict between Russia and America, which is coming. And indeed, he says that there will be massive tsunamis that will hit the coast of America, or maybe an earthquake, other people believe, on the West Coast. Again, all these things seem outrageous to some of us, or to many of us. It would be hard to believe with our rational intellect, obviously, but we have the proof in all of the prophecies that have already come to pass and been proven, as we mentioned earlier in the video. So